Oh, hi. I'm so glad to be with you today. Thank you for inviting me to have this conversation.
Uh, Avery Sommers, thank you for having this conversation with us. It's a monumental day today. It's Juneteenth. It's in this year 2020. It's a pivotal cultural moment. And we just thank you for helping us all to kind of understand the significance of this day, Juneteenth, and how we can honor it. Um, for those of you, let me just quickly say, if you don't know who Avery Sommers is, you've been living in a cave. Uh, Avery, you are one of our artists here on Legends Radio. You are a local treasure. You've been on Broadway. You've been on television. You've been in film. You are just a magnificent performer. And that out of the way, what is Juneteenth and why is it important to commemorate?
Juneteenth is Independence Day. It's the day that the original Africans were emancipated, and it's celebrated on June 19th, 1865. So that makes it, according to time schedules, 155 years ago. It's very important because those times are not written down by anyone except the certain states, Jill, who recognize that. But let me just bring you a little bit up to date on Juneteenth.
Please.
It's actually 157 and one half years because it was 2.5 years after the fact that the Africans were told that they had been freed. 2.5 years later. So that meant that the original person who was sent to send the message, to give the message to the states, I was told that he had been killed in order to keep that message from getting to those colonies that had slaves so that they would not know that they were freed. 2.5 years more of free labor. That's what it amounted to for everybody who owned enslaved people. And I was also told that we were not slaves. We were enslaved. We were not slaves. That's a big difference.
Yes, yes.
We were enslaved. So it's important to pass down this information. And we do that in my culture by the griot. The griot is someone who, in a village, in a culture, has all of the information that they can remember, and they pass it down because my history was not written down as the truth. So somebody had to tell the truth, and that was the griot.
So the storyteller, the storyteller.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, it's a time in our country when everyone has got to grapple with this legacy in order to heal. I mean, it is the inequality and the injustice has come to a head. And the one of the positive things I can say about the coronavirus, the pandemic, the economic, almost collapse across the world, is that this inequality and injustice to Black people has come to this. It's glaringly obvious. You cannot look away and pretend it's not there.
Exactly. And what it has done, you're absolutely right. And what it has done is made everyone shine a light in a corner that no one wants to look in. No one wants to look in that corner. And there are so many corners. There's so much need for a light to shine, to see that these things have been trickled down for more than 157 and a half years now. It's unconscionable to be able to do these kinds of things and not think back about, oh my gosh, maybe this at some point in my life, and I'm talking about everyone now, this will reflect on my life. How do I want to be seen? How do I want to be thought of? There was not that. There was none of that going on in this country. It was free labor. It was free labor. It was free labor. That's what we were brought here to do.
Mm-hmm.
And in that middle passage, I think I may have said this before, but in that middle passage in 1619, when my ancestors were brought here, there was no thought about anything except let's just get them there and get them to these farms and these colonies and get the work done that we want to have to help build the United States of America. Yeah. And we were it.
Yeah. It's a shameful part of our past. It is how this country was built. And I, as a white person, am trying to really not turn a blind eye to this. And really, I've been digging in. As you know, Avery, we've been talking. I'm trying to read more. I'm trying to listen more. And just, one other thing that I think is so important, the way you explain this to me, to better understand the sentiment behind Black Lives Matter, because I think so many people take umbrage to that. And you explained it to me so beautifully when we spoke on the phone a couple of weeks ago.
Right. Thank you. Black Lives Matter. All lives matter, and I don't deny any of that. But Black Lives Matter because we have never, ever mattered in this country. From the moment we were brought here as slaves and sold on auctions and had families torn apart where parents saw their children dragged away by an arm by somebody that they never knew and they would never see them again. Black lives should have mattered, but they did not. And that's where it started. It started in that middle passage on those ships with women laying on top of men, men on top of women. And for weeks and weeks and weeks, nobody was able to move. They were shackled to each other. So from the moment those people, my ancestors, left the shores of Africa, that was a fact. Black lives did not matter. They did not. And all the way through history, it has been shown that Black lives did not matter. And now, young people, and I can actually say that now and not feel weird, but young people are out in the streets getting an understanding of what it means to say Black Lives Matter. My people are a very cultured, they came from kings and queens in Africa to be brought here to be slaves for all these many years. No, Black lives have not mattered, but they do.
Yes.
They must.
And that's why it has resonated, obviously, so deeply with Black people, because it is not to say that all lives don't matter. It's to say that Black lives matter too.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
They always have, but just to be, to have this motto or this call to equality, that's what it means. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It means that we as a race of people are beginning to understand that, yes, we do matter. When someone has said to you for so long that, oh, this is white, and 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 you look at it and you go, okay, that's white, but I'm not. So where do I fit? Well, you don't. You don't fit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm all right with that because we're a forgiving race of people. We forgive because that's what we were taught here. We were brought here and we were taught these things. We didn't bring any of our culture with us. Very little of our culture did we bring with us. So the things that we do now are a complete reflection of what we were taught generation after generation, Jill.
Yeah. Well, they call Juneteenth also Freedom Day, and I wanted you and I had spoken about a song that would feel appropriate. And what is that song, Avery?
It's Motherless Child. Motherless Child. And the version that I absolutely love is by Bessie Griffin. And I found it on YouTube, and I listened to it, and once again, it brought me comfort. It brought me to tears in so many ways, because to feel untethered, to feel unconnected, is a really difficult thing to go through, and this is with any and everyone. But when children have been snatched away and sold, that is one of the most unconscionable things that I can even imagine in my life, when you hear about someone who is kidnapped, and what it does to you, and the possibility of getting that child back, but the possibility of never seeing your child again. That's a motherless child.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about that song.
Well, Miss Avery Sommers, we adore you. We thank you. I think these conversations are important because we need to do better. We need to be better. We need to abolish this inequality that exists in our country and around the world. But it starts with me, and it starts with you, and with this type of dialogue. Avery, I've known you, we've known you for well over 10, 11, 12 years.
Yes.
And we've never had conversations like this.
That's correct. We have not.
And you sang at my mother's memorial. I consider you a friend, and we've worked together. We've given work to one another. So I think it's a new day, and I just cannot thank you enough for talking with us.
Well, I thank you very much for, as I said, for allowing me to have this conversation with you today. And my last thought about that is, when we educate ourselves about each other, we feel differently. If we don't know about each other, then we don't have any platform to stand on. We need to educate ourselves about each other.
Yes.
Oh, that's very true. Thank you for that. I am going to be 62 years old coming up here soon, and this is the first time, I'm sad to say, that I have ever heard of Juneteenth. I wasn't taught that.
That's correct.
And
I know that.
I'm angry about that. I don't know who to blame, but now I'm glad we had this conversation.
Well, I know who to blame, but that's a
whole nother
that's
story.
Colonialism and the whole system that is in place that we, I love Maya Angelou's quote, and I have just been saying this to myself over and over the last few weeks. Do the best you can until you know better.
Know better.
Then when you know better, do better. And
do better.
Pledge to do better, Avery.
Absolutely. Yes, great. That's great. And that's what I want for everyone, especially to start in our city, Jill. We need to start in our cities. We need policies to change. The big companies, the senators, and we need to go to these conferences and meetings and make our presence known. That's what the young people are doing. They're making their presence known, and they're really going for changes in policy now. Yes, it started out with a lot of hoopla and burning and looting and all of that. And I really honestly, just to say this very briefly, I don't think that a lot of that had to do with the real protesters. These were agitators. They were different people who came to mix in with the protesters to agitate, to make it look as though we were throwing a rock and hiding our hands. And that's just not the case.
Yes. No, these young people give me so much hope and so much joy that there is a better world in our future. And I am going to do anything I can. And Richie, we're going to just use our platform and use our voices and do whatever we can to make it a better world ourselves.
Me too. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it. And if you don't have hope, there's very little else. So we all must hang on to our hope in our lives. We must do that. So
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. Thank you, darling. Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Bye-bye,
Love
Avery.
you guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.